Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a seriously fascinating concept. I want you to just take a second and imagine waking up tomorrow morning with absolutely unlimited motivation. You literally leap out of bed, crush a heavy workout, power through all your work tasks, eat perfectly, and just generally move the needle on all your big dreams. Sounds pretty incredible, right? Well, here is the shocking truth we're going to unpack today. Relying on that magical feeling of motivation, it's actually a massive mistake.
Okay, let's dive right into this. If motivation isn't the magic bullet, then what on earth is the secret to success? Well, the most successful people out there, they don't rely on motivation at all. And why is that? Because frankly, motivation is exactly like the weather. It is completely unpredictable. Some mornings you wake up and you feel totally unstoppable. And other mornings, you don't even want to pull the covers off. So, what's the real secret that keeps certain people winning, rain or shine? Look, it's not talent, it's not luck, and it's definitely not just raw intelligence. It's something way more powerful. It is discipline.
Let's look at the myth of motivation and the tale of two friends. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a totally relatable story of two friends. We'll call them Alex and Ryan. So both of these guys have the exact same dream of achieving financial success, but they have a starkly different approach. On the left, we've got Alex. Now, Alex is incredibly motivated at first. He's super loud about his goals, he buys all the fancy, expensive notebooks, watches all those hype videos online, and makes these giant, sprawling plans. But that motivation fades really fast. Then, on the right, we have Ryan. Ryan wasn't loud. He wasn't jumping up and down with excitement. Instead, he just made this quiet, relentless commitment. He decided he was going to work on his goal for just 1 single hour every single day, rain or shine, whether he was in a good mood or a terrible mood. Just 1 hour.
Fast forward a few years and, well, guess what happened? Ryan achieved absolutely everything that Alex had been loudly dreaming about. And he didn't do it because he was somehow smarter or just blessed with more natural talent. He did it because he mastered this exact definition. Discipline is simply the ability to do what needs to be done even when you really don't feel like doing it. See, while Alex just threw in the towel the second his initial motivation evaporated, Ryan just kept showing up. Which brings us to flipping the formula and exactly why motivation fails.
Get ready, because we are about to look at a massive paradigm shift in how we fundamentally misunderstand motivation. Most people literally spend their entire lives just waiting around for the perfect mood before they finally start something. We usually think we need to feel motivated in order to take action, but honestly, that formula is completely backward. Step 1 is actually action, and step 2 is motivation. Think about it. Have you ever felt way too lazy to work out, but then, after 10 minutes of just moving around, you suddenly feel super energized? Or maybe you dreaded studying for a test, but once you finally sat down and opened the book, it wasn't so bad. That's because motivation is the result of starting, not the cause of it. The action has to come before the feeling.
Now, this quote right here perfectly captures the internal monologue of a truly disciplined person. I'll start whether I feel motivated or not. While the vast majority of people stay permanently stuck in neutral, waiting for that perfect mood to magically arrive, disciplined people, they just move forward anyway. They'd understand that feelings change. Feelings are entirely temporary. But discipline stays. It's reliable.
Let's move on to how discipline equals real freedom. We really need to destroy this widely held myth that discipline is some sort of, restrictive prison that stops you from actually enjoying your life. The truth is exactly the opposite. Just consider the difference between short-term pleasure and short-term pain. Think of someone who spends their money recklessly. They buy whatever they want in the moment, they never save a dime. Now for a little while, that laziness, it feels a lot like freedom. But eventually, debt takes the wheel, and that leads to some heavy, long-term regret. On the flip side, practicing financial discipline, sticking to a budget, controlling your spending, that feels difficult and super restrictive at first. But years later, it leads to massive long-term rewards. It gives you the freedom to travel, the freedom to choose your path, the freedom to literally live life on your own terms. Short-term pain is exactly what creates the genuine freedom to choose how you want to live.
Next up is the hidden power, building self-trust.
Now we're getting into the core psychological mechanics of this whole concept. Just think about what actually happens when you break a promise to yourself. You tell yourself you're going to wake up early, but then you smash the snooze button. You say you're going to exercise, but you end up sitting on the couch scrolling on your phone. Every single time you do this, you are slowly, quietly killing your own self-confidence because your brain literally stops believing your own promises. Discipline changes that internal dynamic completely. It shifts to, I can trust myself. Every single time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you are sending a powerful, undeniable message straight to your brain. You're building this rock-solid foundation of real confidence. True confidence doesn't come from external compliments or, a bunch of likes on social media. It comes from knowing that when you say you are going to do something, you actually follow through.
Let's look at the compound effect. Small actions, massive results.
There is a major misconception out there that achieving success requires these giant, actually scratch that, superhuman leaps. That is just simply not true. We need to look at the compounding mechanics of discipline. 1%. That is the only number I want you to focus on right now. Imagine improving by just 1% every single day. In the moment, 1% sounds completely insignificant, right? It's practically invisible. But over time, these tiny daily requirements compound. They grow slowly, quietly, and patiently. It's exactly like a tree. A giant oak tree doesn't just spring up overnight. It requires steady, consistent time and growth.
Let's talk about the power of these tiny actions. 1 extra page read, 1 extra workout, 1 extra skill learned, 1 extra hour focused. Now, in total isolation, these tiny little actions might seem totally meaningless, and honestly, that's why most people quit. They don't see immediate, massive results from that single workout or that one reading session. But highly disciplined people, they continue pushing through these small actions because they understand a fundamental truth about life. Success is actively growing beneath the surface, even when they can't physically see the results just yet.
Now, let's talk about winning the mental battle. Listen, every single day, there is an intense psychological tug-of-war happening right inside your mind. And the overall quality of your life ultimately depends on which side of this battle wins out more often. On the left side, you've got the lazy voice. It whispers, hey, just do it tomorrow. Skip today. You've worked hard. You deserve a break. And on the right side, the disciplined voice urges, no, do it now. Stay focused. Finish what you started. The reality of how successful people handle this is absolutely fascinating. See, the disciplined person does not permanently silence that lazy voice. They still hear it. The difference is they simply refuse to obey it. Discipline is not about acting without resistance. It is about acting despite the resistance.
Think of it this way. Discipline is exactly like a muscle. Look, every successful person out there has days when they really don't feel like working or exercising, but they do it anyway. And every single time you actively choose action over comfort, you are essentially doing a rep in the gym for your mind. No sweatband required. You're building incredible mental strength. Just like a muscle, the more you use your discipline, the stronger it becomes. All right, let's get practical with the blueprint, 5 steps to build discipline. So, we understand the underlying philosophy, but how do we actually do this in the real world? Well, here's a 5-step framework you can start implementing literally right now. Step 1, start small. Pick just one simple habit so you make it incredibly easy to win right out of the gate. Step 2, focus on consistency. Doing something every single day is vastly more powerful than doing it perfectly just once. Remember, consistency beats intensity every single time. Step 3, remove excuses. Prepare in advance. Lay out your workout clothes the night before to make winning easy and just reduce that friction. Step 4, keep promises to yourself. Remember what we talked about. This is exactly how you build that unbreakable self-trust. And finally, step 5, remember your why. Because when the work feels really tough, your ultimate purpose is what's going to carry you through those moments when your motivation has completely packed up and disappeared.
As we wrap up this explainer today, I want you to keep this one phrase front and center in your mind. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Look, one day you are going to wake up and realize that your entire life is simply the result of what you repeatedly did, not what you occasionally felt. Your future isn't built by some fleeting feeling of inspiration. It is built by your daily habits. It's built by the hard choices you make when nobody else is watching and the actions you take when there is absolutely no one there to cheer you on.
We've seen today that hidden right inside discipline is the absolute power to change your entire life. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. Success is, ultimately, a choice. The question isn't whether you have enough natural talent or luck or even motivation. The real question is, are you disciplined enough to use it?